Hi, thanks for joining. I'm Canute, and today we'll be going through a ton of stuff. I want you to stick and stay to the end. All right? We're going to be talking today about memory locators, grouping tracks, assignments, and much more. Thank you so much for joining. All right, let's jump into it. So, if you remember the last time we imported this session and we grouped, by group I mean assort all the channels or tracks together and did some coloring, and we did some import of some session data of what was in another session to get these effects coming over. And so today we're going to go through some more file management. And so we're going to jump right into it. And the first thing we're going to do is, if you remember, and you could see that episode, if you remember the filing of this, each channel was called reggae before. And if you can see it, it says here reggae, and then it says kicks, reggae snare, reggae hi-hat, and all of that stuff. Now, if you keep this labeling, for example, if I keep this labeling, I can't tell what's what because reggae comes before. So what I want to do is I want to go back to the first channel, and I want to just take this out. And it's just a little prep work, and then you could do next, and I just want to take that out. Okay, so now I'm all done, and you can see where it says what the channels are or the tracks are. So it says kick, snare, hi-hat, toms, and so on and so forth. And that's what I want to see. And you can always use your comments for what kind of mic it is. If it was a 52 or so, if the snare was a 57, or if it was a beta 57, and so on. That's what that is for, right? And I usually put either the player's name or if there's plugin settings that I need to write down, and that's what I use for that. Definitely, you could see on my effects, I put what it is so it can quickly be identified on here, right? So now we've done that. We want to group a certain amount of channels together. And by grouping is if I want to mute them all together or I want to solo them all together, they will follow that. And also if I want the sends to follow on all of them and so forth. So I'm just going to show you how to do that. At first, I'm going to group I usually group everything based off of alphabetical order. So in, say, of a song, I usually group it, say, arrangement, for A for arrangement, then B for backgrounds, C for whatever, you get the idea. So I'm going to do this even though there's no vocals in this track right now. I'm just going to still go through and do that. So how you do it, you could select the first one, and you could hold down Shift, and you could click and continue. Or if you want to skip one, you could hold down Command or Apple. I'm using a Mac, and you could select the different ones as you so desire, if you want it to be a mix match or odd and even, if you will. Or if you want to just do, in my case, all of them, you could select the first one, go to the last one and hit Shift, and it will select all. So now I have it selected, and I want to hit Apple G, right? And this dialog box comes up, pardon me, and it gives me a few things that I want to pay attention to. The name of the group, and I don't want it to be called Group 1. I want it to call Arrangement, and I want it to be A. This is my ID. And in this version of Pro Tools, it gives you 4 segments or 4 sections. So it gives you 26 letters altogether, and it's times 4, right? And I'm going to do A. on the first ID, and I want to do the type, I want to do edit and mix, and I want to do mute and solos. I don't want to do send mutes or send levels right now. It's kind of hard to do that in this genre, which this I'll play it for you in a second. It's a reggae, and it's kind of hard to have all the sends in that group to be going at the same time. You want to have independent control. Now, over here, you see it says available, and it tells you everything that's in the channels, or in the session rather, and then it tells you everything that's currently in the group. And as you can see, everything that I selected. Now, if I say I missed one, or missed one that I didn't put in, or one that I want to take out, I can either click on it and I can remove it, and see it dumps it back over into this bin. Say I selected it and I was one short, and I realized, oh wait, the drum slapback wasn't there. I can click on it and I can add it, right? And obviously, use of track selection and all that stuff, that's not applicable right here. And I hit OK, and there it goes. I have a group. If you look down here, you can see that it's in the group area, and it's selected, and it says arrangement. Right? Now, if I solo this, all of them will be soloed. If I mute it, all of it will be muted. Now, this is crucial when you're mixing an entire song, where this is the musical arrangement, and you have vocals, background vocals, you have effects, you have a myriad of things that you really want to separate. This is going to come in handy. So for right now, I'm being proactive by calling this entire group, which is the rhythm section, or the entire track, arrangement, right? And so obviously, if I had backgrounds, I'd select it and then I'd do background vocals or BVGs and so on and so forth, right? So I want to show you a cool thing. If you're in your mix window and you hit the letter A on your keyboard, it's deselected. If you hit it again, it's selected. And that's a cool way for you to jump around, right? To be on and off, turning it on and off. That's one way to turn it on and off. This is another way, by selecting it. And once you select it, if you notice the highlight is gone, that's one way. You could turn it off or on. And then obviously you can edit the group. You can suspend it. You can select a new group here. This is where you could select it as well. You could suspend it. You can modify the group. And let me show you how you can modify it. So say I wanted to modify it again because I wanted to add something. The producer sent me another string section or whatever, and I want to add that into my arrangement now. This is where I'd come and I'd modify it. All right. And then another way, which is pretty cool, is to click on here and it will show you no active groups. Now, if I had selected it, it would tell me here, and then I could modify it from here as well. I could delete it. I could duplicate it. I could select the tracks in the group. I could hide it, and so on and so forth. Right? So for right now, I want to deselect it. And so I'm going to deselect it, and I want to do another group. For this sake, without spending too much time, I'm just going to do it, go do the drums. And so I'm going to select the drums. I'm going to select the last one in the batch. I'm going to hold down Shift on my keyboard, and I'm going to hit the first one. And now I'm there, and I'm going to come here and show you. And I'm going to do a new group. And so here we are. And so I want to do drums. And I want this ID. You don't have to do this. It could be, you could do it in alphabetical order. For me, I've done it forever since that the drums would have D that I could just quickly get around. And this is cool if you're in a studio where you have a producer, an artist trying to get through really fast on things. Hey, let me hear the drums alone. You don't have to go try to find, solo each one or try to remember what letter you put the drums on in this session. So I usually just go and select it. Now, you don't have to do it in alphabetical order. You can jump around for the chronological order of what it shows in the side. So I could do A, D, B, C. It could be all over the place, right? But for this purpose, I'm just going to do the drums for you. And I have everything selected. I don't want to do the drum reverb and the drum distance right now. Actually, let's do this. Let's select these both, and we're going to add these to it. And then I'm going to hit OK. Right? So now when I hit solo, all the drums are there. All right? It's all selected. Cool. So I want to do this for almost every like kind, multiple things. In mixing reggae, you want to do things like dub section or horn sections. You want to be able to quickly jump around and do those things, right? And that's how you would do that. So again, to recap, I just made two groups. One is the arrangement. If I press this, it selects all the arrangement. And now, just to point out, the drums are within the arrangement. So if I select this, it's selecting everything because A is now active. If I press A on my keyboard or deselect it from here and I press this one, then the drums become active. If I turn on that, then obviously anything else I touch, it's going to add that and so on and so forth. Right? So I just did two groups, arrangement and drums. And let's jump around to make some memory locators. How to do it is you go to Window and memory location is here. Obviously, if it's off, you'd see it come back on. And you want to add, here's a few properties. Let me slow down and show you a few properties here. If you click on this drop down here, and you could go through show main counter, so on and so forth. New memory location, that's where you can add it, or you could press enter on your number pad. And so pressing enter on your number pad brings this up. It's the same dialog box that will come up if you click on here and click new memory locator or location. Right? Now, it gives it a number. You can always renumber it. I find, it's much easier to do it in numerical order. That way you can jump around your session. And this is cool for if you wanted a start time, an intro, a verse, a chorus, a bridge, a breakdown, so on and so forth. Pretty much anything you want to have an ID, you can. And I find that when you do it at the start of the session, you can easily jump around. And when you're mixing, you can just, zone in on that one section. Say you want to just mix the chorus alone. You just want to hear all the choruses and you want to just hear what goes on in the chorus. This will allow you to jump around into it. And so if you've seen any of my previous videos, you'll always see those. And it's usually nestled right here in this corner, right around here, just so that I could jump around. And the numbers mean something to me. I could type in on my keypad like memory locator 1 or memory locator 10, just to jump around things, or I could just simply come over here and click on it. So in this case, I want to do memory locator number 1, and I want to give it a name, and I want to call it start, right? And I want it to be a marker, and I want it to have reference, and it wants to be absolute, or I could do beats and bars. Right? This means if it's beats and bars, it's going to always latch to the closest bar that you're on. In this case, I haven't put my tempo for this track in as yet, and we'll do that in another video where we showed you how you can change the tempo and put that in a previous video. But I'll do another video to show you how this is locked to beats and bars and so on. And I want to click on beats and bars so it snaps to the nearest beat, to the nearest bar. But for right now, we're going to do absolute. Right? And general properties, I don't want to do any zoom settings right now on my start. I don't want to do any pre-roll, any track show hide, so on and so forth. Take a mental note of this, window configuration. We'll come right back to that in a second, okay? So right now I want to create a memory locator, and I want to click OK, and it comes up and it says start, right? If I double click on here, it gives me edit, comes back up into edit. That's how I can edit it. That's one way. Or I could come over here and I could do edit and it comes up as well, right? So now I've created it. I can also, if I wanted to, so I created it way too early, but a song has multiple song start time, and so you're mixing it, and the producer or the artist says, "Hey, I want to change where it is. I just want it to start differently." I'll show you how you can do it. You can click on this diamond here. When you get this little pointer finger, you could drag it to anywhere. So I want the start to be here. So if I click on it here, so I can start it there, or I could start it here, right? Or if I want to get rid of this, I can just come and I drag it. Now, if you look here, you see my mouse, I'm wiggling it. It's a little garbage can or a trash can, and that's how you could trash it. That's one way you could get rid of it. Okay, so I'm not gonna get rid of it right now. I'm just gonna let it be. Okay, so for right now, this memory locator is just doing exactly that. It's just coming back to that, and I want to do that as a start, and then I want to go through and I'm gonna do another one, and I'll show you, and I'll press my enter button while it's playing, and I'll show you what it will do. Here we go. So I just created another one while it's playing, and it's called intro, right? And so it's right here. Now remember, it's absolute, so it's not snapping to a grid or anything. And I kind of like this one. It gives me more a surgical go into, so I can get into it and I can get into it. I could move it around. Sometimes it's not exactly on the bar, because when you have vocals, sometimes it has, a word cut off or something. So you can always change that. Again, and how you do it is you go to edit, and you can always change that for whatever you want it to be. So let's go for it for the fun of it and click on here, bar and beat, and see, it just nudged it over there. But I don't want that, right? I want to just still remain absolute. Okay, so now I have two locators. I can do the start or the intro. So intro. Cool. All right, so we just created one. I wanted to create another one just to show you how cool this is. Here we go. So I'm going to create another one, same spot here. Oh, things to note is you could do it while it's playing, or you could just zoom out and scrub through and select where it is and create the ones that you want. For example, if you know every 8 bars, the chorus is going to come around, or the verse or whatever, you could just go through once you have the bars lined up here. And so for every 8 bars, you would select one, and you would click on here, and you would do, say, for example, I'm just going to call this verse. And it usually creates it where your cursor is at. All right, so be sure to look out for that. Sometimes if your playhead is right at the top, it's going to always bunch all of them up there. Okay, so I just created another one in park mode. And so here I can do it. And if I wanted to snap it to grid, I could, and so on. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to make this one a cool thing. For every time the verse comes up, I'm going to make it a selection. I'm going to make it a window configuration. And then I'm going to hit OK. Now let me open this up for you, and you could see here it shows you quite a few things. If you notice here, these two that I created, it's markers, and then this is going to be window configuration. So I want to come up here and go window configurations, and I'm going to do new configuration, and I want to call this verse plugin. Right? And I want it to be a window layout, and I want to go OK. So now when I come on here, I want to double click on verse, and then I want to select it, and I got to do verse plugin. and then it's going to be a selection, window configuration, and then I hit OK. So no matter where I'm at, once I press on this one, it's going to always come up to be here. Ain't that cool? So it's gone. I click on here. I'm at the start. I click on 3, and it comes up with all the plugins. Now, this is just showing you the principle of it. You could be a host of other things. If it's all the plugins considered at the verse or the chorus or wherever your song is, that's where you would want to, do things like plugins. And it's much more things than plugins, right? Let me show you why. You could do zoom settings as well. So if I had, say I wanted something to have a certain zoom on there, pre-roll, show height, the track height, the group enables for every time I click on that. That's another way that I use a lot. If I want to just enable the group by pressing one button instead of, the alphabet or so. And that's how you could do those things. All right? Cool. That's all the time we have today. Thank you so much for joining. My name is Canute. And if you haven't already, please like, comment, share, subscribe. See you next time.